Hi, everybody. It's time for our fifth story. Katie, addict, hiding, victim. I remember my father often. Every time I read, warm thoughts of our time together touches my empty heart. He was a kind man and he cared about me. He was a tutor, and his love for reading passed quickly to me. He had access to the library at the manor and brought home wonderful adventures for us to share. In that I am unique. I know no other girl who can read. Now I read daily to remember my father, or I get swept away by my fear completely. The attack came during a windy winter storm. After killing mother and father, they used my body until they were done and then left. There were 5 of them. I was only 15 and I have been frozen in time for years. If the soldiers had not found me, I would have laid there and died. Sometimes I wish they had not found me and brought me to the castle. Now I scrub floors and clean up messes and try to be as invisible as possible. I have resigned myself to this existence and don't complain because I talk to no one. I live in a bustle of activity and take no part. I hide in quiet corners and walk in secluded places. My father was one of the few. He did not see women as servants to men. He liked my mother as well as loved her. It was a shock to see the men and their eyes showing their thoughts so clearly. Lust was rampant, and if a woman was not interested, it just made them try harder. I am happy to say that they now know to leave me alone. Everyone leaves me alone. How else could I hide among so many? I watch the couples and wonder sometimes, is it true there can be a love strong enough to be worth the effort? I know there would only be one who I might look towards, but he would never look towards me. My station is low, and he is captain of the guards. It has been 8 years, and it was Captain McPherson who found me, carried me so carefully to his horse, all the time talking in a soft voice that vibrated his chest against my ear. I rarely see him, but I hear him often. His voice soothes me like no other. I have been asking myself for over a year now, why am I so angry? I have resigned myself to my lot in life. I am a servant. That is my assigned position, and I accept now that it will not be different. Here I kneel on this same rock floor, cleaning it again. I started counting the times I cleaned this floor until it passed 1,000. Then I cried through the night and decided not to make another mark in my notebook. That was 378 days ago, and I could roughly change the number to 1,105 since I live in this hall 2 or 3 days a week cleaning after those who do not know I exist. I gave up thinking I would be living a different life. We had a plan for me to find a nice man who liked the fact that I was different than other women of my station. I would be able to help our children have prosperous lives, choosing their own lot in life because of the options open to them through the education I offered. I discovered that was why I was so angry. I thought my life would be different and believed that when I resigned myself to the life before me, my anger would go away. It has not. So here I am with my sore knees and burning back, fighting the urge to be angry again. All my fellow servants appear to enjoy their lives despite their service and have ridiculed me for my attitude. Seeing this, I know it is possible to be happy regardless of circumstances, and I am desperate for happiness. I am so desperate that I am willing to let go of the anger. For a year now, I have watched my habit of anger affect every area of my life. Individually, I gave that anger away each time after evaluating my response. After all that work, I am still finding anger rise up in me. I want to scream out that I am better than this. I have more worth than this, and my worth is being wasted. In stunned astonishment, I fall back against the wall and let out a small screech of delight. I finally saw it. While I still thought I was better than another or my current circumstances, my anger would stay. It could not go until I believed that I was no more valuable than others. I could feel my brow furrow as my analytical mind dissected this new, obvious solution. The addiction to anger that I had been living might be possible to surmount. Tossing around the thought that we are all the same, that one is truly no more valuable than another, I waited to see how it felt. A serene smile floated onto my face. I felt so very different, and it felt good. I am no better than the other servants. I rolled that around and then stopped breathing and sat quiet. I have no idea for how long I sat there stunned by truth. And my mind insisted that I continue to hold on to that if I was no better than any other, that included not only the other servants, but also those that we serve. I thought of the ladies in their fine clothes, the soldiers in their army and muddy boots messing up my clean floor, the gentlemen with their power over so many lives. Could this be true? Could I really have the same value as they? Playing different roles, but just as important to the whole? To live believing that as I make my decisions, I create my life to be what I want, like they do? If I could come to believe this, then I had the hope I needed to find some happiness. Hearing approaching footsteps, I returned to my knees and began moving a wet cloth across the rock beneath me. For the first time, I saw the beauty that was before me. The stone used to build the castle was made from a local granite quarry that rippled in hues of greens, blues, and grays. It was I who got to see it at its most beautiful. The water used for cleaning brought out its brilliant kaleidoscope of color. It was a wonder to me that I had never seen this before. I wondered what other beauty I had missed while I had been giving my attention to everything that made me angry. As I finished my daily chores, I noticed other parts of my life that offered up beauty, and this became my personal daily assignment. An assignment that I thought would be simple, to find beauty wherever I was. It stayed simple for about a week until I find myself returning to the old habit of seeing things that rekindled my anger. I had no other distractions, so it took me only a few months of bouncing back and forth from anger to beauty until my mind decided that was enough of that. What a silly habit to allow other people or things to affect how I feel. I became resolute. I would stay where I wanted to, and it was this determination that brought me to where I live today. At this ripe old age of 23, a spinster with nothing to offer in this world but the labor of my body, I could choose what to think and how to feel. So here I kneel once again on my favorite floor in this vast dwelling. I sing little tunes to myself as I swish the rag back and forth, dunk, back and forth, dunk. A few people have noticed and made comments that I seem changed, but I figure it's my business, so I have explained it to no one. I can feel the excitement bubbling within me as I dance through life. Of course, no one sees me dancing, for it is only within me that I allow this frivolous desire to be expressed. However, this happiness has taken root, and I feel so much better. A totally selfish endeavor, but since it hurts no one and helps me feel good, I choose to allow it. This is what God must have meant to have happen by giving us the free will to embrace the power that we have, to choose what we think and feel. A small giggle escapes my lips as I laugh inside at the simplicity. God, in infinite wisdom, knew to keep it all simple so we humans might be able to figure it out. What a blessing, and I quickly send up my thanks and gratitude once again. We are having a particularly long hot spell, and so many of us walk to the loch for a swim after work. I find a quiet cove and stay longer than I should, floating in the cooling water. As the sun set, I finally notice that clouds have gathered. The first raindrops hit me as I pack up my things. Rain and wind pick up quickly, so I run to a cave nearby, relishing the rush of the storm. I rarely laugh, but it brought a laugh bursting out of me, and as I duck into the cave and lean against the wall, lightning flashed and I saw him. There was a half-naked man on the other side of the cave. My eyes blurred, and my trembling body went quickly into shock. I could not breathe. All went black. I woke to his voice. I knew him, soothing me back into awareness. His warm body helped with my trembling cold, and I let myself stay right there in his arms. I had not been held by another in a very long while. His gentle voice calmed me, and I was surprised when I noticed that the rain had stopped. He suggested we walk back together. In companionable silence, we moved through the darkness. He knew the why and the when that had caused my unrest. There was no need for words. I found that strangely comforting. That night, something started to change in me, and over the next 6 months, we encountered each other occasionally and exchanged a few words. It was on May Day during the celebration that we danced for the first time. It caused a spark to awaken in me, one I could not hide from, one I did not want to hide from. I watch him when no one will notice. I find small ways that I can contribute to his busy days, learning his favorite food or seeing to the lighting of his fire when out late on patrol. It was not much, but when the others began to notice, I returned to my habit of hiding. One day we literally ran into each other, and if he had not grabbed me, I would have landed squarely on my backside. Instead of stepping away, we stood there, holding onto each other's arms, and we looked deeply into the other's eyes. I felt myself soften, and a gentle knowing flowed to my belly. Then the inevitable interruption, and he stumbled away. Looking back before rounding the corner, our eyes met again. I found myself walking regularly through the garden when an encounter would provide my next change. Bending to smell the scent of a beautiful rose, the lady of the castle joined me, commenting on its scent. I curtsied and turned to leave, but instead she invited me for a stroll. To my amazement, we got along quite well and shared a laugh or two. We shared many strolls that summer and fall before the weather kept us all trapped indoors. It was during these long, cold months when news of my ability to read and write was discovered. I began to teach some of the women and children after work. In no time at all, they arranged my schedule to scrub floors in the morning only. Afternoons were now for teaching lessons. The wonder of books and adventures with the children began to fill my empty heart. News reached the upper floors, and one day I was summoned to Her Grace's chambers. I sat speechless at the turn of events. I was asked to fill in for her children's tutor until a new replacement was found. My mornings were now spent upstairs teaching, and my downstairs classroom began to fill up with the upstairs leftovers. I was next blessed with some dresses befitting a teacher as a gift of thanks from Her Grace. I could never have imagined my life could turn in such a new direction. Then one night, when I had spent much too much time in the classroom and missed my evening meal, I headed to the kitchen. I could ignore my stomach's protests no longer. While making a sandwich, I heard his footsteps. Sounds silly to say that I know a particular footstep, but I do. When he saw me, he seemed strangely shocked and came skidding to a halt. His mouth dropped open until he slammed it shut and began grinding his teeth instead. I enjoyed watching the display of emotions playing across his face, so I smiled for him. Possibly the first smile in 9 long years. Teaching became me. I had an appetite again and filled out in some very important areas that were now displayed nicely in my new dress. Add the smile, and he fell strangely silent. I broke the spell with an offer to make a sandwich for him. I loaded 3 plates and placed them before him. He saw they were all his favorites, and he knew I had been making things a little nicer for him these last months. We shared our first meal together in silence. a quiet, contented silence that I enjoyed. We courted, we married, and my life went from hiding to fulfillment. 3 months of marriage, and he was gone. War had begun, and I watched as he and the other men worked themselves into a frenzy. They prepared, then departed, many never to return. He did not. Numbness beyond anything yet experienced hit me, and I walked and taught without knowing. I could not eat, I could not sleep, and it was in the dead of night on a full moon that my reflection caught my attention. Lines of grief and sadness drown out my now too thin face. I realized everyone saw me like this every day. There was no hiding. I saw the worry in my students' sweet faces. It was time to change. So I wrote in my journal, squared my shoulders, and began to wedge myself out of misery. I had done it before. I could do it again. I worked on eating. I looked in the mirror every morning and changed the way I held my face. I took long walks in the fresh air and prayed I could find my way back. During this ardent journey of discovery, I understood the absolute power I possess. I reminded myself I could think anything I wanted to. No one dictated this. My thoughts were my own. If I thought sad thoughts, I was sad. Happy thoughts brought me happiness. Like a miracle, that knowledge, kept in my awareness, really helped me understand the power I want to express in my life. No one made me remember the pain of the past, only I did. And why would I want to do that? Habit. We are all such creatures of habit. So my habit is now to wake up, look in the mirror, remember my love for my handsome husband soldier. I remember the love from my father and mother. I let it flow through me and over me and in me, and I smile to them wherever they are. Then I go share that love with all the unique children I teach. Why? Because I can, and I love myself enough to choose it. I know how important it is to keep love at the center of all things in order to heal and be whole. Now I know that love is all that really matters. Gathering room. Katie. What a woman Katie is. I am so glad to see I found the courage to be self responsible. What a journey of pain so many of us endure before we find the truth and our power. Many of us let anger take over our life, and that has become a common and acceptable expression. Yet it is such a destructible force. I felt old frustration rise and illuminated it quickly. My attention brought immediate change. Raziel and I watched the connection between the five lights become alive and brighten in the gathering room. Katie contributed the colors of the rainbow. All were present, and the joy of the room expanded. Then they reached out and shared directly with me all that they are. Yes, there has been quite a lot of anger being expressed on earth. It feeds on itself, bouncing back and forth between individuals, nations, and religions. Part of the old cycle that you are coming out of, Raziel answered. I was exposed to quite a bit and perpetuated it, I responded. It was one of the collective exchanges of energy frequencies in the old energy ways, but you have been changing your ways, haven't you? Raziel prompted. I have been addressing old habits and clearing my energy field. And evidently succeeding, since you are here at this moment, Raziel reminded me. Yes, good changes. So as all stories seem to go, there is suffering before we find and choose love. Is this what you are showing me? What I show you is for you to decide, he reminded me. You are hinting that it is my choice of perspective that I walk away with. So I guess I better pay close attention and be sure not to judge, I say in humor. It is a way that has served you well, he joined in to the playful laughter. I am so impressed by Katie and her strength to stick with her understanding of the truth of free will. I sure love all love, and I am so glad to be here with you. This is fun. Okay, I am ready for the next one. Fire away.